And then we're gonna go back to John's shop, his new shop, and we're gonna have a chat. We'll find out how this bike came to be my bike. Stay tuned. So usually after coming back from the museum where I was talking on the mic, we were checking out Richmond, we were checking out the bikes, and we were checking out the whole exhibition. I don't need this because it's not plugged in. But I was just one into the other. I thought it'd be funny.
It's cool though.
It's cool, right? And I'll get your sticker put on there too.
Oh, sweet.
Soon enough. But that said, we're rolling, we're live, we're here. We're none other than John Ryland joining me here. Where are we? What are we doing? And who are you?
I'm just a guy. I'm John Ryland from Richmond, Virginia. Classified Moto is my company, and you know all this, but I'm going to say it for the.
That's why we're here. Yeah.
But yeah, we have it's a weird place in Richmond. It's a motorcycle shop downstairs, and then this venue for like events, and then we have we're classified as a hotel, so we have 5 or 6
Classified
soon to be
as a
6.
hotel.
Yeah, it is classified. Airbnb rooms, hotel rooms, so people can come stay here and they can have events and have a beautiful view of the city and all that stuff. So, but I am a bike builder by trade, but it seems like I do less and less of that over the years because I get bored. So yeah, right now there's the museum show that you talked about, the exhibit. It's called Ruined, because that's what everybody says I do to motorcycles, is ruin them. But yes, there's 6 bikes in that show, including Frank and the Walking Dead bike and a couple of other iconic builds that I was able to get back.
And that's what's bringing us together today is Frank and Classified Moto. And now that you guys have a little more context of where we are, our introduction to each other was many moons ago at Sturgis originally. And so that's kind of what the story I'm telling today is kind of how we got together, and then everything I learned about you along the way. People like the bike Frank. It's got its own, place out in the world. But this is the guy that built it. And so all the questions that people have about that and say, how'd you get this bike? It all started like almost it was 8 years ago, 9 years ago? A long time.
Me about time.
I know, it's been flying.
Of it. But yeah, because I get confused because we did that motor swap for you. Was that 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So I rode out to LA, but before that, I forgot until you just said that we didn't meet around Frank. We met just by chance at Sturgis.
Yeah.
So, and you ended up winning the bike. So.
Well, and so extra context and background for the folks listening. And I just gave kind of a run through the story to Matt, because Matt was like, how did you even originally end up with this bike?
Right.
And so I told him, I was like, there's a couple versions of the story, because there's my version, which is probably a little more embellished, but then whatever real version of it was. And so just from my memory, however many years ago it was, I was at Sturgis. I was shooting for a friend of mine, Kelly, at the Wild Gypsy Tour.
Yes.
And we were staying at the Buffalo Chip, and I had no idea what was going on in relation to, but she at some point brought the gang through the Chip, and we landed at your campsite. This was in partnership with Luxco and the Bourbon brand, and they had been putting on a contest. So give us some background on what the contest was and where you fit in that, and then.
Yeah, well, okay, so Rebel Bourbon asked us many years ago to do a contest where I think there were 4 bike builders, it was Classified and Gasser Customs and some others, that would build bikes, and then they would give those bikes away in a sweepstakes or contest.
Yeah.
And then we would ride those bikes to Sturgis, show them off on stage before some classic rock show.
Yeah.
And then eventually deliver them to their new owners. And the first, but I can't remember, the year I met you, had we already built Frank at that time, or was that the year before? Because we did it 2 years in a row.
I think it must have been the second year then. I don't know if Frank had been built, because I don't know that it happened again. I kept going back to Sturgis from then, but I don't recall another build taking place. But in my experience, when we had, I didn't meet you initially. And so we came, again, if my memory serves correctly, I remember going through.
Sturgis, man.
Yeah. I remember going through, and it was for, we landed at your campsite, and it was Rebel Bourbon, and I met a wonderful producer, and her name escapes me now, but I think she works for Red Bull at this point.
Oh, Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Zofchek.
Yeah, she's great. What's up, Lindsay? And we came through, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm with Rebel Bourbon. You got to try this bourbon." And I'm a beer guy, you know, by choice. And she's like, "Try the bourbon." I'm like, "You know what? I don't want to try the bourbon. I bet it's great." She goes, "No, you got to try it. You got to try it." And I was like, I promise, it's not for me." But eventually, she twisted my arm. I tried the bourbon, and after hanging out at Rebel Bourbon's campsite, at some point, I was like, "We need to turn this party up a little bit," and maybe I tossed a couple tables. You know, it seemed.
I do remember you running it by me at one point.
Did I ask?
You came up, you're like, "I'm gonna flip this beer pong table over." I think Fletch, our sponsor, he was there. He's like, "I don't know, Sam, don't do that." We came back a few minutes later, and it had indeed been flipped over.
So I was exuding my rebel spirit and made some friends, and then I left. We parted ways. I went back to the rest of my job and Sturgis experience. Fast forward, the contest had continued, and long story short, specific to this conversation, I entered the contest, and after more time with the contest, I won the contest. And there was a portion where they're like, "Hey, you know, of the bikes, you know, available, if you were to win, like, you know, what is your favorite, and give us a little, you know, how you would relate to da-da-da-da-da." And so Frank being this Frankenstein bike, and then Rebel being the bourbon that it was, and as I learned all the things, I chose Frank, wrote up a nice little excerpt, and I came home with it. And he's been with me now for X amount of years, and he still gets miles, and I've had opportunities with him, putting him in films and shows, and you rode him across the country.
Yeah.
I only blew it up once.
Well, that's why I wrote it back, because we put a motor in it here.
Yeah.
And I talked to Fletch, and I told him, I was like, "All right, so we can do this a few different ways.
Yeah.
I can ride this bike across country and have like a chase car with a camera crew and all that stuff." That's tier 1. Tier 2 is somewhat less of, you know, support.
Yeah.
We're still me riding the bike across the country.
Yeah.
Tier 3 is me just riding the bike across the country by myself with my GoPros and my and drone and stuff, and that's the one they chose, I think, for value. But yeah, that was a grueling trip. I remember we got there, we went and got some Korean barbecue.
BBQ. When was that our actual first proper introduction?
No, because I came out when at some point when you got Frank delivered. I remember being there. We're in your parking garage.
Yeah.
But yeah, because you had a different house and stuff. And, yeah. So yeah, it's so weird because all the time just goes like.
Time flies, man.
Mixes up.
Yeah. Well, and so much like time, you know, it comes and goes in different waves, and so I've been able to share in your journey as you've been, you know, you used to be in the city in a different setup, and then as this has come and grown into its own entity of Classified Moto and what you're up to now. But all along the while, we've been able to, you know, the Rebel 100 was a race that we had here. That was a big hoot, but you're just a really interesting guy. And so similar to me, all the things that we're able to collaborate on, motorcycles have brought us together.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting you say that because, like, I'm not bored of motorcycles, but I got into it from, I'd never been interested in bikes. You know, and I was almost 40, you know, when I started to take an interest in motorcycles, just because I hadn't seen anything that I really thought was awesome.
Right.
You know? And then I started seeing some stuff coming out of, you know, wrench monkeys and stuff out of Europe, and it just was like, I've never seen anything like that. I, you know, can get behind that. But so I got really into it for a while and designing stuff and building stuff. But I realized that as I was doing this, that it was more interesting meeting people, you know, and like bringing people together and having a good time going to Sturgis or whatever. And at the old place, we used to do karaoke all the time there. And
so you can see the stage in the back. They don't play when it comes to karaoke.
Yeah. This is an upgrade.
Yeah.
I am afraid to use my smoke machine though, as I told you, because I don't want to set off the alarms. But I might do it tonight.
Yeah, why not?
But yeah, so I really enjoyed that kind of social experience, you know, because you're riding bikes with people, it's fun. Yeah. But you're also, it's pretty solitary, you know, activity, unless you're talking to people on your phones. Yeah. But yeah, so the more I got into it, the more that social aspect of it became like a thing. So that's why this iteration of the place is very, you know, social centric, I would say.
Well, and speaking to your background, you come from more of a branded agency side of operations. So you see the bigger picture and how to utilize different moving parts. And so much like you, motorcycles have been a big part of my life, but it is not a focus that I'm like, I'm a motorcycle guy. Like I certainly spend enough time on them, but I like the lifestyle. I like the event, the culture that comes together from it, and certainly a tool, but it's just the whole surrounding things. And so how you've been able to utilize that and play with it is how we've kind of always crossed paths, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, it was, speaking of, I was actually going to turn it into an episode of our show, but I never
That's
got around
right,
to it.
yeah.
But that trip across country, because I had my helmet cam, and I was just, but a lot of times just like droning through, these states, and just, I realized how not fun it was when
We see you, Nebraska.
I was thinking of Texas, and the rain is like one of the, just the, it was just kind of like driving myself crazy.
Yeah. Because
there's nobody here to show you see something cool, and you can't, it's like, you just, wow, I see it, and now it's gone, and there's nobody to share it with, which it sounds cheesy, but it's true. So it was fun to go all that way, and then to, hang out with you and actually see people, and, I got on that plane coming home smelling like Korean barbecue because I didn't have that many clothes with me, and
that stays with you.
Jacket, I was like, I'm so sorry.
Well, in further context, like you can look at pictures and read about it online. The bike is a Triumph Speed Triple. Yep. It is a sport bike that has been Frankenstein into the version it is, and so to take that specific bike cross country is its own experience in itself.
Yeah.
It's not an ADV adventure touring.
No. The seat, I guess the padding by the time I got it was about that thick, and Alex was laughing because I went from Richmond to Atlanta, and then from Atlanta I was going to New Orleans.
So you took the 10?
Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah, one of those numbers.
Right.
But my butt hurt so bad that I finally, when I got to New Orleans, I went to Dick's Sporting Goods and bought a pair of bike shorts.
Yeah,
I was like, this is gonna solve all my problems, and I was, 20 minutes later, I was like hanging my butt off the side of it. But yeah, it was not meant to do that, but it was, conversation piece. Everywhere I stopped, somebody's asking me about it, and, that was fun.
Yeah. Well, it's still, the bike still plays a big role in my life other than a grocery getter, because I'm still logging the miles on that thing. But even as this, next chapter of what it is you're doing, I know you're, when it comes to wrenching on bikes and the builds, like, it's still such a relevant part of your program. Like, what does the future look like still? Because Classified's got such a reputation, right? How do you see yourself like ebbing and flowing? Because there's a big shop downstairs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was a time when we had 14 or 15 builds on the books at any given time.
Yeah.
That we're trying to get done as quickly as we could. And I think moving forward, and that's when Donick was working with me. He's an amazing fabricator, mechanic, and just a great guy. But he went on to do custom exhaust stuff, so he's working for himself now. Yeah. But
is he still here in Richmond somewhere?
Yeah, he's in Richmond.
Oh, okay, cool.
And he actually we did a kind of Frank 2 for the guys in Dubai. And
he's over in Dubai right now?
Yeah. So he helped me with that because he'd already done all the work to that swing arm, which was the major component of getting that giant, basically tractor tire on the back of that thing.
It's for a side-by-side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But street legal tire. I mean, at least the ones that I deliver.
Every time I've been pulled over, I'm still riding it, so things are going well thus far.
Yeah. But anyway, he's not having full-time employees is definitely, it's a lot harder to get stuff. I sub a lot of stuff out, but I'm working on one bike now that I'm very excited about, but it's just taken forever just because the whole move, and we got kicked out of our spot and we didn't have a place to work on it. Then completely renovating this place. But I think it's a 56 matchless. It's like a old BSA or Norton kind of bike. That was a big 500 single, and the owner is in South Carolina. He wanted to put a KTM 690 single in it. So that bike I'm excited about because normally we'll take an older bike and put some modern components on it and make a little bit of flash to it. But this one I want to be completely sleeper stock, old Hogan's Heroes looking bike that'll rip wheelies.
Yeah.
So that's something that it's frustrating because I got so much else going on. It's like, you know, I wish Donick was here to be like, hey, figure this out. But yeah, so I'd like to do like maybe 2 bikes a year.
Well, and then even at the museum, I read my little placard specific to Frank, and I think it's in the first line or two that it's like, you know, when you're unbridled by other people's design choices and you can just do whatever you want, you end up with this creation, you know, through your own eyes. And so is that something like, when are we going to get our next, like, just John original that answers to nobody?
Well, that's a good question. That matchless is kind of...
And you can't hear the laughs in the background, but Alex is about, you know, 22 feet away, who's co-pilot in this operation.
Yes, Alex, my wife, is essential to this jam.
Catch her on the stage tonight after 8:30. We're going to be starting with, what's our set list? David Bowie, all right.
So Forget City's coming on strong these days. But yeah, I gotta just it's just time management. You know, like this place is, I'm excited that it's to the point it is now, but you know, I used to, if I got a new welder or something like that, I'd show my friends and show Alex or whatever. The other day I sent her a picture of my new janitorial cart all decked out with the same cleaning supplies as the cart upstairs. I got one for downstairs. So when I need to clean those rooms, I just, you know, so I was very excited about that. But yeah, between cutting grass and making beds and doing all the normal stuff, you know, it's just I'm trying to get to that point where I can start.
Well, and I mean, obviously, I saw this place when you first got it and you were making your move. Are we west, east from the original location?
We are slightly south, like about a half mile south.
Yeah. You can tell that you still carry that same design aesthetic into basically everything you do, whether it's I see a spring over here, you know, any number of lamps and fixtures and gears and sprockets and motorcycles is a through line for the entire place, and every piece has been touched. But it's just interesting because I also relate to you in that, like, there's so many, you know, colors in the crayon box, and I want to use them all, right? And so it can be frustrating at times that I feel like I do too much.
Yeah.
But I don't know how not to do it, and so I mean, I guess I see how you describe your maybe you didn't say frustration, but it's frustration for me. All the opportunities that abound, and even sitting on the patio out here, looking out at in my opinion, the most epic skyline that Richmond has to offer. Like, you can see a full vista. Yeah. We're set up in front of a protected marsh, so we're not going to get a new construction in front of it. Like, I was like, what about this? And like, I'm sure you're constantly.
Well, no, I love it because people come over and like at the old place, we would always joke because the first thing that people would do is they'd walk in the door and say, you know what you need? You know what you need is a popcorn machine. You know what you need is it. But I realized it could be annoying depending on who it was coming from, but I realized that people actually walked through the door. Even at the old place, it had a cool vibe too. It was just different, you know. But they were getting inspired by something they were seeing, so they got excited and they're like, oh man, you could do this and you can do that. And they're like, yes, I can, but I like that. You know, I like it when people come in and they're like, I've not seen something like this before. So yeah, but as far as all the other stuff, like this, designing this place gave me a whole lot of energy because, you know, for a while, just because I like creating cool spaces. Like you walk in some place, like even in the guest rooms, like you walk into the room and that looks cool, but then you flip the light on in the bathroom, like, oh, this is cool too. You know, so there's always like this little.
Well, it's that attention to detail that I think always kind of like next level is whatever the thing. And I'm even looking at what I imagine to be a thrift store find. Yeah. But I know there's painted on it like somebody experiencing some type of moto fun or like everything's been touched.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out artwork. You know, I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on artwork that didn't mean anything to me. So we used a lot of Adam Ewing's photography. He shot all my bikes in the studio. Yeah. So there's a lot of that, and then photos from you and other people from the Rebel 100, that 100-mile mini bike race that we did. So there's that, and then there's quite a few movie posters just because I love movies. Yeah. And then the final component is all this bad Facebook Marketplace thrift store art that I get for $20 or whatever. Yeah.
Looks good to me.
Just like oil, you know, like Bob Ross style, you know, a lot of it. And then I have my buddy Anthony I give him a picture of bikes at a certain angle, and he would paint those in there. He always paints some creeper in there, like Jason or some Kraken or whoever. But yeah, so that's been fun. People go around, there's like little Easter eggs all over.
It's funny, jumping into this interview, and usually I have a more concerted, direction for the conversation, but there's so many different things that I think about, in our experience, how we've interacted, because it's not to just talk about bikes, and it's not to talk about this new experience, and so I'm almost a little lost in my own thoughts of which direction to take this, because it's...
believe me, welcome to my world.
So maybe that's the problem, is usually I'm talking to somebody a little more like, this is what I do right here, and I talk about that. But these are two guys that are like, well, we could also talk about the idea we had for those trains. You guys want to talk about trains?
Yeah, right. Concentrated train horns, so only the people who need to hear them.
Well, and me and Meg are passing through town specific to, one, seeing this space that I've been watching come together for some time, two, to see the museum installment and installation, and how cool it is to see Frank up here, but then even plugging in with, the friends I've met along the way through the Rebel 100 in Richmond, and Matt and Aaron, and it's just such a cool experience. And so I'm just really excited to have been at the start of this, so I can continue to see it grow, because everything you touch turns to gold, even if it takes time. But it's been exciting to see, and so I'm always curious how I'm going to play next with you, right? And so we've had opportunities with Rebel, thanks to guys like Fletch, and the guys over there at Luxco that see potential, and they're like, let's just see what comes of that. And so with Rebel 100 and with Frank, and just even having the bike and being able to put it in a Michael Bay movie and getting James Cameron to ride it. Certainly that wasn't the intention when I won the bike to like, oh, I can't wait to see this in the big screen, but like that's just how we operate, right?
Yeah, well, I love it, and then it's as far as who could have won the bike, nobody. Yeah. I can't imagine anybody was going to do more with it than you did. I mean, I look in hindsight, yes, but just because it's like a lot of people won those bikes, and I think some.
I don't know if I could find the other bikes at this point.
Yeah, because right, you never see
sitting
them
in someone's garage, or maybe it's been parted up, or
right, and it's not. There's nothing bad against the bikes. It's just whoever won them, they just wanted to get it and flip it and sell it or something like that. But you love this thing, treat it like a member of the family, like we do.
Well, I wouldn't treat it like maybe John's kids, because I have a fine patina to Frank after all these years. And bringing it back to the museum, I was checking it out. I was like, oh, he really cleaned this thing. But there's some things on there that you couldn't clean. I'm sure you're like, what the fuck is this?
Oh no, it's fine. I actually,
it runs really well still. So
I purposely left the license plates on them in the museum exhibit, because I wanted people to realize that there's some verbiage on the wall that might, allude to it, but that these are actually bikes.
Registration's fresh. That's got it's 25, 26 on there.
Yeah, that Florida plate is beat to shit, and it looks like, which I love. But yeah, I think that's a nice just little nod, because it's a design museum. It's not like an art museum, but it's, these are things that people interact with and ride and drop, that somebody knocked the bike over in the...
Oh, already in there?
The Walking Dead bike.
Well, and we didn't even talk about that. So just for those listening, like I'm going to throw up videos and photos for B-roll on the. If you're watching, you'll know what I'm talking about. But give some background into even your experience into the aesthetic you provide, which is like a Mad Max looking thing. And so you've had some exciting success when it comes to where your bikes have ended up. What was that kind of beginning journey for that?
Well. Again, the timeline escapes me sometimes, but with the Walking Dead bike that we built in two of those for AMC, and then we built a third one it was a real tight turnaround that we're not used to, so we had to kind of make sure that we weren't going to be screwed if one of them blew a motor or something. So we had the two bikes that we were working on simultaneously for the Walking Dead, and the reason we're working on them is because Norman Reedus had contacted me a year prior or something.
So Norman reached out, or the show reached out, or AMC reached out? It was specific?
Norman, yeah.
Because he was already a fan.
Yeah, evidently. I think he actually contacted me on Twitter, and at the time I knew his character really well, but I didn't know the name Norman Reedus. I knew Boondock Saints and I knew Walking Dead, but I just didn't know the actor.
Right.
And I got a email from Norman Reedus saying, I love your bikes, I'd like for you to build me one, what do I have to do?
Yeah.
And I was really busy at the time, I ignored it for about a week. And then I started noticing on Twitter, I'd see like, Norman Reedus fan started to follow you, or Mrs. Norman Reedus just followed you.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is Norman Reedus?
Yeah. Norma, she sounds hideous.
Yeah. So I looked it up and then panicked because I'm like, oh my God, that's the dude. So I somehow managed to get back in touch with him, and then we went through the whole process of building him. It was a XP920, which we did a lot of stuff with. So about a year later, he said, I got to build a bike. My character has to build one on the show, and your stuff is perfect because it's like, apocalyptic looking, which is just Mad Max was just the pinnacle of cool to me when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So all that stuff kind of, influenced what I liked as far as motorcycles go. But he said, would you be interested? And I was like, absolutely. I would definitely be interested in building some bikes for your show. So that happened, and that brought on a whole different, sort of fan base, I guess, because a lot of those people don't really care about motorcycles, but they love him so much and they love his character. So that was interesting to see, you're no longer just talking to, when you post something, you're not just posting for gearheads and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was cool to see, how varied the audience could be. But yeah, so that kind of led to, to other things. But I think when we built the bikes for The Walking Dead, that's right when Fletch at Rebel Bourbon reached out to us, and I don't think they even knew about The Walking Dead bikes.
Oh, okay.
At the time, he was
a fan on his own accord.
Yeah, somebody saw it because they knew they wanted a certain number of builders. But yeah, so that was like a nice surprise.
So when you were a part of that contest, you weren't already in a relationship with those people. You were just a builder in that mix.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think the first year we built a Kawasaki, I think it was a KZ1000, and it looked kind of like our bikes, but it had some interesting, like a fairing that was like a wax canvas fairing on it. It was pretty cool. But yeah, they just needed 4 builders to work with their contest, and it was Analog, Cycles, I think
Flying Tiger
was the other one, and then Gasser Customs and us, I think, and then maybe Greg Hageman had a bike there too, because they upped it to 6 builders, I think, with the following year.
I remember there was a Honda, like a side hack. There was like.
Oh yeah, that was yes.
Yes, they did a great job.
He's gonna kill me. Why can I? Everybody's name
Time
escapes me.
Time. I get hit in the head a lot too, so it's like.
Yeah, but yeah, they just found us.
Okay.
Which is always surprising. They're like, how'd you find us? It's always one person that saw it somewhere and thought it would be cool.
Well, even with social media, it's funny because how I participate in social media, you never know who's watching. So when you put something up and you're trying to strategize and you're trying to make some type of market, make the needle move, and it just doesn't. That's not to say that one of those 2 eyes that were watching what you were doing are paying attention. And then when you were talking about with The Walking Dead, and when people recognized your bikes because of him, and just specific to that, they weren't really gearheads, and that changed your audience. I had a similar experience with Frank specifically when I did that one viral video where I took it off-road onto Sanibel, and that got, on any number, I don't know how many millions of views on any number of different platforms.
Right.
But that took my following and immediately doubled it, which I was like, this is so cool. What I didn't realize was it took my following and, from my opinion, diluted it, because I had built a following of people that were interested in what I was up to, and how I operated and the things I enjoyed sharing. But then once I did that and it doubled my following, people wanted to see that and only that.
Yeah.
So then I'd do anything else and it was just like, bong.
Yeah, I know. It's a different world, like algorithms and all that stuff. It's like, I'll post stuff like nobody's gonna like
freaking cauldron
this.
of mystery. And
yeah. But I should think about it more, because our followers basically, I can say this, but they go down over the years because there's so many bots and stuff that will just follow you, and if you don't follow them, but I'll go through every once in a while, I'm like, they're fake, block them, instead of just trying to get the most followers I can get, because it was more fun back in the old days where you're doing something new, and people would like it because.
Well, I thought there was more connection back in the days. It just seemed like there was much more like one-to-one connection and conversation about it rather than just like a drop in the void of just somebody on the toilet just scrolling and whatever. That's neither here nor there.
Yeah. But it is interesting, as far as talking about like things that are going on now, like AI kind of, just, I know it's an amazingly powerful thing, but I'll see all these bikes that obviously have taken parts of our bikes, in the AI mix and created this really cool looking bike. And you look at what looks kind of like a Triumph logo on it, and it's all like Greek or whatever, because it's AI.
It's not real.
Yeah. But that's kind of frustrating because I had this one guy email me so mad one time because we did a poster that had 17 of the bikes that we had built. And this guy emailed me and he was like, I think he's in France or something. He was so mad because I had taken his design of his poster, which was basically 17 of my bikes and then the logo in the corner. And he was like, you have stolen this design from me. And what he does is make, at the time, it wasn't AI, it was just Photoshop bikes. And I lit into that dude. I was like, hey buddy, look at this. This is a poster from Honda. This is a poster from, all these different things. That's how you present 17 bikes if that's what you're doing in a logo.
Yeah.
It's like, you did not create this design. And furthermore, we built and tested and, finished and delivered every one of those bikes. You just Photoshopped all that stuff. And I was just like, I was so fired up. Normally I don't whatever, but he was just pissed me off.
Well, that's like art is influenced by all things. We're a creature of our own creations, and so we got to take in what we can.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting. The idea of AI and algorithms and analytics and whatever. How do you keep yourself from being so influenced or unbridled? How do you stay just like true to yourself and your craft? Like, what lets you go this direction and go, yep, this is good for me?
Well, one thing, as it relates to technology and all that stuff, I always think I've got kids that are in the workforce now or college, and I'm always thinking like, wonder what path they're going to take. They can't just be immediately replaced by a computer.
Right.
And so I think about it a lot. But for this place, this is the part that you can't. AI, you invite people over, they all interact in real life and have a good time. And so that's one thing that, I think the spaces in, bars, restaurants, and, even these like pickleball places or whatever.
What do they call the third spots, the third places? It's like you have your home, your office where you work, and then where's your third spot that you commune?
I like the way you talk about that.
I won't take credit for it, but you heard it here first.
But yeah, so to me, that's like the motorcycles, it's even that in our digital age with Instagram and everything, even a cool motorcycle design can be AI because 99.99% of the people who interact with any of our builds are never gonna see it in person, never gonna ride it. They're just seeing it in a little square on their screen. So when you think about it that way, ours is just as good as that, really super clean AI version that's on there. But if you are trying to build a community in a specific city or wherever, then I think that's the kind of thing that just interests me because it's like, well, I don't see how AI is going to keep us from doing karaoke here and having a good time.
The karaoke specifically. Well, and I think I'm finding too, similar for myself, as I dive deeper into an online world where these go out and I'm generating a community and people can listen. Like, you can AI podcast at this point, just come up with your topic and it'll make two voices and two people, and it's just wild.
Yeah.
But I think where I find my success and ultimately my drive and reason for moving forward is when the cameras aren't rolling, like I get to create these relationships and I get to go live and experience. And I think that's a value add for me is like, I can sit here and talk about it, but then I go live it.
Yeah.
And so then my credibility in that space is what the value is. And that's something AI can't do.
Right.
Is, when the camera stops rolling, actually continue life.
Yeah.
And see places like this. And then even specific back to Frank, you've posted it, you shared it, and then people see it and like it, but then I'll show up in some random town and it'll be strapped in the back of my truck. And I've met, I don't know how many people, like you were with me. We were in some Knoxville and some kid is like, we were somewhere and he's like out by my truck when I came out after eating or something. And he's like, hey man, is that Frank? And he's like, is that this bike? And he showed me a picture. He goes, I have this saved as my background on my phone. And I was like, it is that bike. He goes, no way, I saw this, I've been following it. And then he's telling me about his bike. And I was like, you want to see a burnout? And so I got up in my truck. And so this was something that went from, his digital experience. And I got up and it was still strapped down to my truck. And I just was like, ah! And so like, that's the real world experience that we still, I'm in different industries I operate in. People are so scared of AI for any number of reasons. It's a tool, and it'll always be that. It's not going to replace you unless you're a lazy piece of shit. Go out, get creative, and find what moves you. And the more you focus on what inspires you and how you can affect and grow with the people around you, you can sit in the back of your truck and do burnouts all day, and AI can get fucked.
Yeah.
So that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, in person. That's just what interests me. These days
And you've created this place. This is a Classified Moto Fantasy Factory.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Oh, dear Dick.
Well, John Ryland. With Classified, how did you come up with the name? And like, clearly it's not a secret. Like, you can come stay here, but there's still a bit of mystery to this place.
Yeah.
Is that just because you're like, well, because my advertising, is lacking funds or something?
No, it's the name came up because it wasn't even a company at all. I was just building bikes for my friends. I used the term build lightly because I didn't really know what I was doing. Mm-hmm. But I had ideas about, putting these modern forks on old bikes and things like that. And which at the time people just weren't doing. And that was just the look that I liked.
Yeah.
And it took on, a whole life of its own. But at the time I was building bikes for my friends, and my friend Adam started taking photos of the bikes. And so I had these awesome pictures of these kind of crappy bikes, but they looked unique.
Yeah.
And I wanted to post them somewhere, so I just created a blog, and it was just called, I just came up with Classified Moto, because it was like, kind of secret, whatever, but I don't know why that stuck. But it did, and we just kept going with it, but it's always been kind of low-key. Like at our old place, we never had a sign up or anything like that. I put a little sticker on my door. I was like, hey, I finally put a sign up. But so a lot of people didn't know where it is. Now we're on Google, and you can find the address.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was never really a need for people to know where I was physically located. Mm-hmm. And just being in the city, I'm like, I don't really want people to know there's a whole bunch of motorcycles in this building. But then we started doing karaoke and had crazy disco lights going off, so we weren't.
Total aside to all things motorcycle and all things I see here, other than what's behind me. What's the big draw to karaoke? You guys are consistent. I've been through town a couple times, and I've always ended up on the mic. Like, how often are we singing karaoke weekly? And where did this start?
I think we both.
You just had that beat in your heart, and you just had to let it out.
I started singing karaoke when I was terrified. I started singing karaoke when I was in my mid-30s. I went and saw someone who sang terribly on stage, and I went, I can do that.
I can sound terrible on stage.
I can sound terrible. Why was I so scared? And when John and I met, I think he was just starting to get into karaoke, and I think that was probably why we fell in love. I'm not too sure.
Man,
Just your mutual appreciation for karaoke is what brought you together.
It grew over time.
Yeah.
It's at its peak, obviously.
And you've been harmonizing ever since.
That's right. Yeah, when we got married on this stage, and we didn't do a first dance, we did a first karaoke.
Aww, when was that? I didn't get the invite.
No one really got it.
It's December 27th. So my kids were in town, so we were trying to figure out a time to do it when everybody's gonna.
Because you went from just Alex and John to because your Instagram changed.
I just put my name to Alex Shearer Ryland, but I changed it.
Yeah.
I guess.
Still testing it out. The first time I did karaoke, I was riding with Adam, my photographer buddy, and one of my old mechanics, Ricky, from Richmond to Pikes Peak to watch the hill climb. Adam was going to shoot the guys as they were coming across the line, all amped up. But
What year was this?
I want to say 2012 or something like that. I mean, it was a pretty long time ago. But so we were driving across country, and we got to some silver dollar bar type place, and they had a karaoke thing going on. And I was like, "You dare me to do karaoke?" He's like, "I'll give you $20 if you do karaoke." So I got up and sang Dream On by Aerosmith.
Oh yeah.
It was terrible.
How's the range there?
Yeah, it wasn't my best, but then the KJ, the Mistress of Ceremonies,
Okay.
DJ KJ,
Yeah.
she was impressed enough that she wanted me to sing Islands in the Stream with her, so I did that too. And then I looked back and I was like, Adam was just talking at the table. He was not even paying attention to me. But yeah, then after that, I used to kind of be against karaoke because we would have things at my old garage, like at my house, that was open mic thing, like oyster roast, and then we'd have an open mic thing. And we made a big deal that it's not karaoke because you have to provide your own music.
Yeah.
And then, but then I learned to appreciate it.
The tone deaf reigns supreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm a big fan myself. Like any excuse, like I'll go out. I got no shame in it. You're not supposed to be good, and if you are, you're trying too hard. But I think it's great. Yeah.
I mean, I can fire it up.
Well, tonight I think at what time is it tonight? There's
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Come be a guest. Show up. Pick your tune. But well, I don't know. We've covered a lot of topics, but again, my brain still reels because there's so many different directions that I can take it, and it's interesting just because I always have a pretty clear, concise, direction for my conversation. But that you're just like so similar to me that I just see so much different potentials and ideas that I'm struggling to rein them in. But
Yeah. Well, I should warn you about me.
Yeah.
That like if I ever take it's not unusual, and this isn't bragging or anything. It's just saying something about me. Like if I take my car to the shop and I'm like I don't know, like I'm like I can't figure this out. Take somebody to take a look at it. They're always like, I've never seen anything like this before. Like I feel like I'm like every time I'm like I'm just gonna hand this off to somebody. They're like, well, we can't. Even this place, trying to get insurance for a motorcycle shop, a music venue, and a hotel. They're all like, well, we've never done anything like this before, so everything's like this new, which is I feel like I'm on the right track.
You're a trailblazer, man.
If you keep running into things that people haven't seen. I mean, that's what it's all about, is doing something that isn't, like everything else. But
well, I relate to the beating of our own drum, and I'm excited to hear it tonight on stage, out of tune, offbeat. But I'm excited because this conversation will continue. I'll still be writing Frank. We'll have more stories to tell. And at least this stage, I'm going to be featuring a lot of the space because I'm excited for people to come and it to continue to expand. And any number of reasons. There's no, there'll be a show here at some point. Is there a regional moto show in Richmond, or what's the nearest one? Like a festival or,
I don't know. Like it's nothing like the One Moto or Hand Built show or anything like that I know of that's been around here. There's some kind of local.
Yeah, because this feels like what would serve into that experience, and then all the OEMs show up and they're like, hey, can we just be a title sponsor and act like we're part of this?
That's fine with me.
Yeah, that's fine with us. That's fine with us. Title sponsors, call us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and big shout out to Rebel Bourbon. That's what we're still calling Rebel Bourbon.
Yeah, Luxco is the parent company. They've got a bunch of brands that we have here, but Rebel is
they've been super cool and have provided a lot of the experiences thus far, and I can't wait to see where it goes from here. But well, this is the time of the show that you get to call attention to anything that's going on. Obviously, we've been talking about this place, but it could be a link, something in the future, or say whatever you want. Your time to shine.
Oh wow! Do I look right into the camera?
Yeah, talk to the
guys.
That's them.
I mean, we have covered everything that I want to talk about. I think the thing that I want people to know about now is that we've got this place, and it is a private place. Like you have to book a room if you want to stay.
Well,
there.
and I don't even think I've been clear. Let's talk specifically about what this place is. Obviously, it's a shop, it's a bar, and all the things. But it's like, how many rooms we got here? Like, I can come find you online, and I can book a room tonight.
Yeah, we're classified as a hotel, but most of our bookings come through Airbnb. So you just go onto our website, classifiedmoto.com, and you can check out the bikes or whatever we have in our store at any given time, or the event space, which is where we are now in the other parts of the building, or it says stay with us or something. And you go and you can see all the rooms, which are all really cool, unique, different vibes to them. And yeah, you just book a room and stay here. Look at the skyline. If you're on a Friday night, then you can do some karaoke with us.
Yeah.
Open bar.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's that's the main thing right now. I just kind of want that to get, because who knows what the next thing will be. You know, this is taking so much energy that I'm like, is there going to be a next thing?
What does Alex say?
Let's retire.
Hey,
Yeah.
out on a boat?
Yeah, on the bay. That's my dream.
Out on the bay.
Get out on the bay.
Bay house.
Bay
I
house.
don't think I'll live on a boat again.
Yeah. Living on a boat. We could talk about that next time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I appreciate your time. I appreciate all the things along the way. And until our next experience and iteration, thanks for watching, guys. Come stay here, meet John, see what he's ruining
Yeah.
next.
I know. You never know.
You never know. How long is the installation still?
I think it goes through the end of this month, through the end of August.
All right. I'm going to have this out. Meg, I'm going to have this out Monday. I said it. It's going to happen. So then we'll get a couple weeks left on the agenda. But all right, well, that's it.
Sweet.
Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, do all the things that you're supposed to say, and go book a room.